For the top of the hour news, DLSU Scope holds first venture event. Room-to-room campaigns are back for the student council elections. Miting de Avance held in person after 2 years. News from the freedom of the press. Truth. Power. The voice of the Filipino masses. This is the Animo exclusive. Good afternoon, Philippines. I am Clutch Taroka, your anchor for today. The DLSU SHS Student Clubs and Organization Presidents and Executives, or SCOPE, holds venture last November 23 to join the university in a celebration of the Lasallian Mission Week 2022. Various clubs and organizations conduct webinars or in-person capacity building activities to the entire SHS student body. For the underground interviews, here are Sam Nicolas and Pauline Dela Cruz.
With the return of face-to-face events, various clubs and organizations of DLSU Senior High School Manila are given an avenue for hands-on learning experiences related to their advocacy, taking on their call and launching their Lasallian mission through venture. So, let's wager on and venture into this exciting event. Here with us today is Mixiana from SC Student Committee Externals. So, first and foremost, how are you today?
Oh, I'm feeling good and excited for this interview.
So, what's it like organizing Navigate as part of the Externals Committee?
So, Venture or Navigate was actually my first task, both as a StuCom and Externals member. And it was definitely exciting to take part in such a school event and to be able to fulfill my task as an Externals member. Furthermore, it was definitely a plus working with such great people and have a good working environment.
That's so nice to hear. Lastly, what's the highlights of preparing for Navigate?
For me, as an Externals member, it was accomplishing my tasks because I knew that my co-Externals members and our partners would be able to make use of it.
Thank you. It is truly such an honor to serve the Lasallian community.
Joining us here today is Hume Society's Public Relations Officer, Ernest Aquino. So, Ernest, how are you feeling today?
I actually feel good, no? Kasi it's a new day, it's a good life, no? Time for new beginnings.
So, what are your thoughts about venture?
The idea of venture for me is really nice, no? Kasi it's an opportunity for students to get to know more of each other. And then, yeah, I believe kasi na lahat ng experience na makukuha nila is very valuable in terms of magagamit din nila yun everyday and they will learn from it.
I agree. So, what do you think is the main purpose of venture?
Katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, yung isa to sa mga opportunity para mag-bond yung students. Pero I think isa pa doon is yung opportunity na binibigay sa orgs para ma-showcase yung kung ano nga ba sila basically. Kasi I do believe na magkakaiba tayo ng rationale, ganyan. Pero we're different in a way na we're similar din. Kasi we share a common goal which is success pa din naman.
Oh, that's very well said, Ernest. So, are there any important lessons that you have learned through the whole process of preparing for the activities for venture?
I'd say na marami naman akong natutunan while preparing. Pero one thing that struck me the most is that it really doesn't matter naman kung ano yung gagawin ng org. As long as you're with the right people. You know, you're with the right people. The people that you have to be with. Kasi doon pa lang may build na yung chemistry nyo, ganyan, yung teamwork, and then of course yung camaraderie.
Thank you, Ernest. Now we have another guest from our very own, the Animo's Managing Editor, Atalaya Lunas. So, Mix, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling ecstatic because I've been spearheading 2 other ventures today and it's very exciting to see it come to fruition.
That's great. How was it like preparing for your workshop, Dennis?
Well, Genesis of course came to us very swiftly because of the mandates given to us, but the Animo is ready to face it and it's very exciting for us to be heading this project to open our doors to outside our organization because of course the Animo would like to share our vision of sharing the truth to the student body and outside the Lasallian community as well. So given that opportunity, we're excited to face this new challenge of sorts for us to open our doors and introduce what the Animo is for everyone else.
So, were there any complications or challenges you had to face while preparing for the workshop?
Well, of course, we had to adhere to strict deadlines, and of course, a lot of us understand that because, of course, academics has been coming around most recently, and we're facing finals week. But everyone in our ad hoc committee and everyone who prepared Genesis was aware of those limitations and challenges, and we were facing it head on with everyone prepared. So, of course, it came into for us very easily, and everyone was prepared and happy and willing to work on it. That's why it wasn't big of a challenge as we expected it to be, but we are prepared and we have overcome it.
Well, you did great with managing your time. Now, what are some specific learnings that you want the attendees to retain through your workshop?
Oh, of course, Genesis is geared towards introducing what writing and non-writing of journalism is for everyone. For our organization, we did aim it so that everyone could revitalize, which is in the name, their knowledge and their understanding for that. And for those who are new to the Animo, and even those who are not part of the organization that we open their doors for, hopefully Genesis sprouted that passion in their hearts. And hopefully we see them next time in the Animo as well, or pursue in future endeavors of becoming vanguards of the truth as well.
I agree. So, thank you so much, Mixlaya. And that wraps up the celebration for the Lasallian Mission Week 2022. You heard it yourselves how everyone was ecstatic in organizing workshops and activities for the student body to venture. For more information and the latest updates within and outside of the DLSU SHS community, make sure to follow the Animo on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Once again, this is Pauline De La Cruz, capturing the lens of truth in focus.
Room-to-room campaigns are back for the student council elections. Here's Ingrid Bote for the details.
After 2 years of virtual campaigns during election season, this year's roll of candidates embarked on room-to-room campaigns on Friday, November 18.
The Commission on Student Elections, or COMSELEC, officially announced the campaign period to be from November 16 to 22 and posted the guidelines for campaigning on their Facebook page.
Candidates vying for positions in the Student Council have brought their best foot forward as they run to represent the student body. This is Ingrid Bote, capturing the lens of truth in focus.
The DLSU SHS Manila Commission on Student Elections held an in-person Miting de Avance at the Waldo Prefecture Seminar Hall on November 26, 2022. The COMSELEC held its MDA on campus after 2 years of having it through online platforms. To give us a view on the ground, here is Matthew Ong.
Now, given that this is the first on-site Miting de Avance since the pandemic, what would you say were the difficulties in transitioning from an online to an on-site setup?
Well, starting from an online, it's mostly really convenient because there's Zoom and then it's very easy to communicate via Messenger or Discord or Google Chat. But the main struggle that we really had with transitioning is the scheduling and trying to find a venue, because since we are also transitioning along with college, a lot of college students are also trying to appoint venues, and it clashes with our schedule. So we had to make a lot of adjustments, yeah.
And secondly, what would you say are the pros and cons of holding an on-site Miting de Avance? And would you say that the pros outweigh the cons?
As of now, I would think that they're equally, nothing outweighs the other one. But the main pro of having an on-site Miting de Avance is you get to see the candidates face to face, and if you feel you could feel the sincerity if they have, and then you could really get to know them better, because it's really been like that ever since before the pandemic. With the room to room, you get to know them better, you get to ask them live. But the cons, as I said earlier, the scheduling is really hard because a lot of people wants to book the same venue at the same day at the same time.
Thank you for that wonderful answer. Now, this is the first on-site Miting de Avance in the past 2 years. Now, in those 2 years, would you say that COMSELEC has become more efficient? And if so, how could you say this?
I definitely think COMSELEC has been getting more efficient over the past 2 years. There's this thing that we always try to achieve. We always try to achieve more than what we were able to last year. So we we indicate the weaknesses and our strong points from the previous school year, and then we try to assess that for the next following year. And then, though it's been hard from the transition from online to face, but we've had a lot of meetings to talk about what we should really focus on, especially on big events like the Miting de Avance.
Now, thank you for your time and your answers, Mix Castro. This has been Matthew Ong, capturing the lens of truth in focus. Now, sir, given the fact that this is the first on-site Miting de Avance since the pandemic, what were the difficulties in transitioning from an online setup to an on-site?
Well, one big consideration was, of course, to help the new commissioners, the new strategic command, as well as the new execom to get used to the different practices on campus. And it's not just them being able to familiarize themselves with these different practices that we did in the past, but it also involves us trying to adapt to the new changes, especially with the new setup, especially when it comes to the scheduling of different offices, different people. Since we did shift to a hybrid setup, that also affected our own schedule every week. So I think this was also one of the main challenges for us going through the transition. And it's really amazing that we were also able to somehow see these changes come into fruition. And as a result, I would see that a lot of us here would be able to accomplish the different tasks that were assigned.
Thank you for that answer, sir. Now, for my next question, what would you say are the pros and cons of holding an on-site Miting de Avance? And would you say that these pros outweigh the cons?
Well, one pro or one big pro that I would be able to observe here is that a lot of people become more interactive as compared to the online setup. We can't deny the fact that a lot of us still saw the differences in these transitions, but in that case, we would see how the highlights of the advantages are really seen here in the current setup. Because aside from the interaction, you get to observe a lot of people, get to know more about the candidates personally as compared to the online setup where you just usually see the screen, you hear the platforms. Yes, you do get access to the information available, but that authentic opportunity to just be able to ask the candidate directly and see them in person will really make a mark as far as the elections is concerned. Now, the con, as I have mentioned, would be the difficulties in transitioning. But then again, all of these pros would definitely outweigh the cons because as we have seen here in the recently concluded MDA, a lot of people really got to be more engaged. And I think this is one important thing that we need to sustain, not just in our DLSU SHS community, but also outside the community, to have that sense of voter engagement where people are just proactive and they just really care about what would happen to the good of the community.
Now, for my final question, sir, given the fact that this is the first Miting de Avance that has been held in the last 2 years on site, would you say that in these past 2 years of online, that COMSELEC has become more efficient, and how can you say this, sir?
I would always say every year, and this is coming from my honest observation and perspective, that COMSELEC gets better and better every year. Not necessarily because they were able to become better than the previous batches, but rather they were able to learn from the mentorship and the guidance of the previous batches who continue to shape all of the different visions, missions, and generally the aim of COMSELEC to just connect the student body with the student council and to provide them with the right and just elections. So with us learning all the trends, all the things that we have practiced, we keep on revamping all of these things. And I think this is one of the best assets of COMSELEC. They keep on innovating and finding ways on how to get better every year.
Thank you for your wonderful answers and for your time, Mr. Russell. This has been Matthew Ong, capturing the lens of truth in focus.
Thank you, Matt. And that's all for today's latest news. For more information on the hottest news within and outside the DLSU Senior High School community, check out our social media pages, The Animo on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, I am Klitsch Roca. In the name of public service, we uphold news from the freedom of the press, capturing the lens of truth. This is The Animo Exclusive.